Hello, my name is Huey Long, and welcome to Power and Revolution. Today, oh, I'm gonna regret that intro. So I'm gonna be playing Power and Revolution, which is a geopolitical simulator. I've watched a couple of other channels try or attempt to play this game. They're mostly memes. I think it's a combination of they don't give a shit and also the fact that the game's pretty difficult. I've tried it myself, and I always made the mistake of trying to pass multiple reforms, and my head of state would die 5 days into the game. This game goes hour by hour over several years, so to say that I was bad is an understatement. I'm deciding to choose Angola as kind of the game I want to play, the country I want to play as. The reason being that Angola is one of the first countries from the country list A to Z, and B, they have a significant amount of oil, which, if you know how to play the game properly or just sell it properly, you can make a healthy profit, pay off your loans, and do anything else. It's almost like creative mode in a lot of other games. So, I actually began a game as Angola, and I'm going to continue that game instead of trying to start a new one. A little bit of background on Angola because uh, giving credit where credit is due, this game is pretty realistic and does an accurate representation of what these countries are going through or where they're kind of in a contemporary kind of political scene. And the game starts in 2018. So back to Angola. Angola is a colonial nation that used to belong to Portugal. Now, if you're not aware, colonial economies and nations are structured in a way where their resources are being extracted to go to another country to be produced and turned into some kind of consumer good. Now, with decolonization, Portugal's no longer there, but that doesn't mean the economy will restructure in a way that a lot of countries in the Western world are familiar with. Essentially, while the top of the structure is gone, it's replaced by different people. So in the case of Angola, you don't have a single country or entity who exerts control over their economic resources, but you have multiple institutions like the IMF, private companies, oil exporters, oil companies like ExxonMobil. So Angola, like actually a lot of sub-Saharan African countries, does not own its oil. Its oil is privatized and owned by several other corporations, and Angola basically serves as a kind of almost like a modern or state thug. So they just beat up locals and make sure the companies get the oil. This is sounds if anybody's familiar with African politics, it's very similar to what Nigeria does in the oil river delta. Um, so Angola, after independence, had a pretty vicious civil war. With that civil war, a lot of infrastructure was destroyed. Any native industry that was not oil was borderline completely wiped out. So that's things like farming, plantations, fishing. It's barely contributing to the GDP. Their primary, borderline only export is oil. So in this game, what I did was that I actually increased taxes because in modern Angola, their issues are they have a high level of corruption because the government essentially is almost serving as just a wing for private interests. They have an issue with importing goods because of limited infrastructure. So consumer goods are extremely high. It costs a lot to import things. And in this game, in this game and in real life, Angola has an issue with not being able to kind of control their finances. So what I did was that I increased taxes across the board. So if we go here to our taxation screen, I increased income tax, made it a little bit more standard. I try to actually simplify, aka order the value added tax so consumer goods are not as expensive, and increase taxes on large fortunes and inheritance taxes because Angola is not exactly a wealthy country and a lot of the wealth is concentrated at the top. So I made it tougher for people to kind of leave the country, and I'm making Angola a little bit more isolationist and protectionist. So a lot high taxation for the people who have money, use that money to pay off debts, and slowly, hopefully in the future, build up reserves to partially nationalize or nationalize the oil industry. I also did taxes on company turnover, so there's a tax payable each year by businesses and individuals who have a non-salaried professional activity. So this is trying to bring in more taxable income to the Angolan state. In real life, this would probably translate in actually curbing corruption, as government employees who have been business connections outside of their professional work life now are being taxed for that. I One of the first things I did in this game is I increased the spending and funds for the security, Secret Service, and police. So that was a huge thing. And Army I didn't do so much, but it was mostly Secret Service and police. So I could fight terrorists and increase internal security. And then I worked on energy. So I wanted to increase energy production in Angola so we could have a cheaper electrical grid without fossil fuels. So it's mostly, if we look at the energy production right now, it's mostly solar and hydraulic electricity. There's no fossil fuels. After that, my focus was on increasing infrastructure, increasing oil exports, and creating diplomatic deals with individual countries, so mostly through China. If we go over to my energy screen again, all my contracts are with China for oil. I didn't want to sell oil on the market. I wanted to be more in control of where and how much I was selling that oil for. I also increased the amount of ports I had so it'd be cheaper to import goods. And I'm tackling dilapidated housing and trying to modernize Angola using the tax revenue I have, while also on my way to hopefully eliminating Angola's debt. There's a lot of issues with private groups, but ignore these pop-ups. What I'm doing is that I'm increasing kind of like tighter control. I'm making Angola a little bit more revolutionary and isolationist and a little bit more authoritarian. The plan is that once we get the economy rolling and we're able to increase other industries through subsidies and increase development, we could actually liberalize the political sphere. I'm not sure I'd ever liberalize the economy. I think I might keep it partially nationalized, but I'm definitely going to liberalize the political sphere, give parliament more powers, make elections more frequent, unban certain political parties, which I've already done, and then focus a little bit more on culture, tourism, and kind of inviting things in, but not too much. I want to make Angola for Angola. Angola first. Make Angola great again. And so yeah, there's a lot of notifications in this game for various things. So let's begin the game, shall we? Here we are. The plan so far, I think, is I'm going to finish some construction over here with some dilapidated housing in the other regions. I want to begin from the periphery and then move to the capital area with higher population densities. So I want to get rid of, help modernize the countryside first and then move in toward the center. There'll be some big infrastructure projects, maybe subways in the city, increasing internet access, stuff like that, but for the most part we're going to start with the countryside and then focus on really paying off the debts. Okay, so in other news, there's a huge war going on. Let me turn these off. There are two conflicts right now, state conflicts that are produced from the game mechanics. Iran versus the UAE, well, more like Iran versus the world, and then North Korea versus the world. They have in this game the actual real-life conflicts, so the Eastern Ukraine conflict, Libyan civil war, the Yemeni civil war, the insurgency in Afghanistan, and that's about it. And then multiple terrorist organizations in Central Africa. So as Angola, because we're a left-wing government, we're not very popular with a lot of people. So what I'm doing is using limited oil profits to go and donate to disasters in Africa mostly, so I could improve relations with the countries neighboring me. Okay, this is getting a little bit annoying. I'm going to clear out these notifications. The war is important, but to be honest, we have nothing to do with it. We're little Angola. That's not our issue, to be honest. It really is not our issue. I'm going to focus on seeing if we could construct another oil well. These are oil derricks, oil platforms. They're really good. They do a much higher output. Let's actually see how much it would cost to nationalize our oil industry. So if we go to our oil industry, conventional oil, yeah, our sales jumped up from 2017 to 2020. It doubled. Yeah, it almost doubled. Profits have increased. Productivity has gone down. Actually, income tax, employment has gone down. But if we look at just degree of nationalization, the sector is totally privatized, as I mentioned before. If we do a minority, it would cost $110 billion. That's just minority shareholder. If it was, yeah. So while we are increasing oil exports as a way to make more money and kind of help the state budget through company taxes, it's also making our oil industry actually more profitable and more expensive. So nationalization in the future is probably going to be an issue. I don't even know if we build up reserves fast enough we could even afford that. My guess is no, that's not going to happen. Rest in peace, the state budget. Also, I think we're going through an election, so let's see where that goes. So I'm going to be drinking a little bit. Probably shouldn't do that. Here we go. We have one subway, a couple of highways. I think I did invest in education as well, minorly, not too huge because it's a little bit expensive, and research. So definitely research. I went, and we actually have some discoveries as Angola. We were able to do some national things. So for some reason, we were able to discover technologies relating to space travel. So operating stuff. I don't know how in the world that happened, but then we had one called, here we go, woven textile fibers that contain perfume molecules that can be freed by a radio wave through manual remote control. Yeah, I have no clue what the hell to do with that. What's this? A journalist kidnapped in Syria. We can't really do much with that. Our focus is very limited when it comes to stuff outside. We can't constantly, so we could infiltrate and kind of prevent these groups from doing anything too much. I don't know if there's a way to actually completely dismantle an organization, though. That's the problem I'm having. Establish family allowances. We need to keep this simple. So yeah, it's mostly a focus on increasing oil. Oh.
Funeral will take place next week. Do you want to attend the ceremony?
For my approval ratings? Sure.
Our agent's assessment is that there is a definite risk of it being spotted.
Okay, so he'll be spotted, but I don't care. Down goes the that agent. He'll try and infiltrate. Win-win. Because I could just put it back again. I put a lot of money into my Secret Service and police. So they should have no issue. I'm just kidding. They will have several issues, but who's under surveillance? I don't know. Oh boy. Wait a minute. What? India and China? Oh god, I should have lowered the I love this game. I love this game mostly because of this. It's so unfinished and so kind of borderline garbage. There's so much potential, but they ruined a lot of this, and quite frankly, Jesus Christ.
A homemade bomb packed with nails was hidden in a public bin in the city. The explosion caused the death of a bystander. Despite the limited resources used there, it is no doubt that it was a criminal attack.
Okay.
Alright,
Alright, so what I meant about this game, so I'm going to remove myself from kind of the focus on Angola, is that This game, from what I understand, was developed from some guys who were formerly part of another gaming company, and they obsess over 3D graphics for some reason, and the price for this game is like $50. It's ridiculously high for what is really, quite frankly, a broken mess. Now, I'm pretty sure you could have reduced a significant amount of cost if you got rid of the voice actors, the 3D models. You didn't have to do that. You could have done something like Supreme Ruler, or even something that the Paradox companies do with kind of still images and little pop-ups here and there, and improve the game a lot more. Because this game is good. It has a lot of content, but the issue is that it's not very it's not really well fleshed out. So in Go with this, it's a lot of waiting, to be completely honest, and it could be a little bit boring. Well, boring for other people to watch, I would imagine. Me, kind of live for this stuff. Um, so I guess our scientists do sometimes collaborative work. I don't know. Damage estimate. I don't know how to improve the estimate progress for something. Because then I could actually just send whatever it is and just be over with it. That sounds really insensitive, but I mean, here we'll send another 20 million. Let's see if that helps.
It's true that
$40 million. 25,000 victims for a famine. That doesn't look too hot for the Congo. Oh wow, increased to another 91 billion. Oh, is it because the price? Why would the price go? I guess there's certain people removed from the conflict. I assumed. I assume because of the. Okay, because of because members of OPEC are fighting against each other. Sorry, I was stuttering there. So there are international organizations. As a member of OPEC, what I do is I always increase it to what is the maximum amount. Not because I know it'll get to that, but in my head, by moving my vote to an extreme, it would hopefully push the average vote a little bit higher than normal. So I'm going to suggest that and hope for the best.
one of my men succeeded in.
Okay, infiltrate. So it looks like the Iranians are doing pretty well and have captured a significant portion. It looks like they've actually captured all of the UAE. The issue is that they're fighting everybody else. Oh my god.
The terrorist organization has nodded off. This is the least you can say. And since we're doing nothing to wake them, the situation doesn't.
Okay, so they're telling me I'm doing well. Issues with transportation, salaries,
One of my men.
and infiltration. Okay. That's where we are right now. I don't know how to maintain good relations with countries. I can improve it by doing the aid relief, but I don't know anything else in terms of actually helping out. And I think we should actually start subsidizing the industry. So as I mentioned before, because of Angola's civil war, all of its native industry is it's borderline dead. So if we actually look at agricultural info, we look at the GDP participation, just look at how low that is. It's actually going down. It's bananas, beer, potatoes, liquor, fish. I mean, it's barely contributing. Like, we're looking at 0.001 for all this. Now, from what I understand in real life, your best investments can often be simple things. So, pork, it will require a lot of feed, but something I noticed for a lot of developing countries that they focus on is the growth of chickens. So if we go to that, production worldwide, trade balance, let's see if we could improve chicken production. Because here's the thing, right? If we encourage chicken production in Angola, chickens are relatively low maintenance, and they'll eat anything, scraps, whatever, and and they provide a pretty good source of protein if raised properly. Not like the factory farm chickens. We're talking about, developing world chickens. They can be a bit scrawny, but they provide much needed protein for poor families. So I'm going to subsidize this industry. I'm going to do at least 500 million. And then I'm going to, what is exonerate? Yes. Yes, I'm actually going to exonerate. Just the improves price reduction. And let's see where that goes from there. So we're going to subsidize it and also give tax exemptions. Our public finances are going down. Let's see how that actually affected our public finances. Went up. Hopefully that'll balance out. There's a lot of wildfires.
It's true that
Okay. I also put this on the easiest difficulty setting, so we'll see how that helps me, because like I said, this isn't my not that good at this game, so I kind of want to make sure I don't completely mess up and put too many high penalties. I also love the discount John Oliver over here. Oy. These guys really knew what they were doing, right? God, French programmers. Anyway, I think we'll leave it there for now. Not much was done, a lot of talking. Hopefully we could actually show some more game mechanics in the next video. If you like it, leave a comment, like, subscribe. There's like no subscribers, so you know who I'm talking to. It's nice playing. Name's Huey Long. Have a nice day.